But whether it's drone strikes or Nazis or ISIS, you got to see it to understand how bad it is. So here's what happened in Barcelona.
Whether it's drone strikes, Nazis, or ISIS? What the fuck are you talking about, you ape? There's Genk equating drone strikes, just the general... Look, I'm not going to go into the details, but trust me, drone strikes are evil. So the actions of the U.S. military, he is equating that with the Nazis? Nazis. Huh? Yahtzee. We got Nazi. That's retarded. And he's equating that to ISIS. So the worst terrorist group, the most prolific, the most deadly, the most hideously evil group ever to be assembled in human history. And he puts that in the same sentence as the U.S. military and tiki torch carrying LARPers. You are a bombastic bitch. Cenk, you bombastic bitch. Those things are remotely comparable. But thanks for just showing us your hand. Fuck America and fuck those Nazis. Yeah, Genk. Real subtle on including those two things in the discussion about ISIS. I mean, ostensibly, it is a conversation about this latest ISIS attack. But thanks for bringing up drones and Nazis. Incredibly relevant.
So let me give you more context into what happened in Europe. Cars and truck attacks have killed over 100 people in separate incidents across Europe in recent years. Extremist groups have long advocated for their supporters to use vehicles to target pedestrians. And of course, here in America, now Nazis have apparently picked up that same MO as they ran over people in Charlottesville just within this week.
Yeah, the 20-year-old kid was a real Nazi. Dude, fucking pathetic. Fucking pathetic. And nice paragraph, HuffPo. I wonder what they're talking about here. Car and truck attacks have killed over 100 people in separate incidents across Europe in recent years. Oh, really? What? Car and truck attack? Is this one of those things where like the automated cars are glitching out? What are we talking about here? Why are the cars and trucks doing this? Wait a minute. Is somebody driving those cars? Who is it? Do we know? Because you didn't mention who was driving the cars and trucks. I mean, this would be like saying gunman attack. Like as if it's the guns that are doing it by themselves. No, it's not. Who would ever do that? Who would ever say gunman? There's no such thing as gunmanism. Who would ever say gunman? And avoid telling you the operational identity, the motivational factor for why the person was shooting the gun. I mean, killed over 100 people? Oh, wait a minute, they explain here. Extremist groups have long advocated for their supporters to use vehicles to target pedestrians. Oh, extremist groups? Really? Really? Oh, okay. They're extreme. I mean, by definition, they are. I mean, they're using cars to kill people. I'd call them extreme. Do we know anything else about them? Oh, HuffPo, thank you for insulating me from the truth. You are scandalously cowardly. Fuck everybody involved in writing that sentence. Weak.
In terms of when I see something like this, I always think, how in the world can we solve it? Because
yeah, Cenk, please solve it for us, please. Are we going to go to some of your old faithfuls? Some of those great ideas you came up with before, like white helicopters, dropping candy and leaflets and medical aid? Or how about that old battle cry that you and Anna bark out all the time, which is education? Yeah, give them the education. Teach them that they're fucking backward. Great. That doesn't sound too simple. What is your idea exactly? Genk?
It's unbearable to look at, unbearable to think about. So I know that others have very simplistic ideas. Oh, they attacked us, so we should attack them.
Yes, that is how war works. That is how violence works. That is how logic and sanity works. They, and don't throw they in quotes. We know who they are. We don't have the names and locations of all their members, but we know the group. We know it's funded. We know it's organized. And we got intel. So yeah, there's a they and there's an us. And yeah, we should fight them. You fucking coward.
Very obvious question, if you want to bother thinking about anything at all, is who is they?
Oh, I'll answer your ridiculously retarded attempt at a rhetorical question. They is ISIS in this context. I mean, if you want to broaden it out and talk about al-Nusra or Hamas, or Boko Haram, or Al-Qaeda, or any of the other dozens of Islamic terrorist groups, I'm more than happy to talk about that. But in this context, let's talk about what happened in Spain, and yeah, let's go kill ISIS. That's the they, you fat jackass.
So I hear the right wing screaming already. It's the Muslims.
You're a fucking clown. Yeah, ISIS are Muslims, and all these other Muslim terrorist groups are Muslim as well. And so now Genk has diverted the conversation to a not all. So he's once again strawmanning people saying, you're saying it's all, I'm going to tell you it's not all. Isn't it wonderful? And really, when you mention a not all, what you're also doing is talking about a non-problem. So you're saying, hey, not all Muslims are in favor of terrorism. So let's focus on those who are not. The non-problem. There is a problem. Do we acknowledge that? We do not like cars running down our pedestrians, killing innocent men, women, and children. Correct? Problem? Yeah. Why are you talking about a non-problem right now? In fact, here's a new problem. You talking about non-problems is a new problem now. The answer is he doesn't want to talk about the problem because it makes him uncomfortable, because he used to be a Muslim and his entire family is Muslim. This is the same loser who constantly talks about getting money out of politics. Why? Because he thinks it creates a conflict of interest. This man is a living, breathing conflict of interest. That's all he is. And he shamelessly minimizes the threat of Muslim terror and the destruction it causes. Constantly. The man has the nerve to bring up Christianity. Fucking Moses gets a reference in this shit. The virgin birth gets brought up. Mormonism. Oh, I'm not kidding you. I wish I was kidding. I'm not.
Now, guys, no one's saying, for the attacks that we already know about, and very likely this one, no one's saying, no, the guy who did it is not Muslim. It's like, again, in Virginia, nobody's saying that the guy wasn't a Nazi.
I'm saying he wasn't a Nazi. I'm saying that, you hysterical buffoon. And thanks for bringing it back to the white guy in Charlottesville. Oh, that was a perfect pivot. Wow, what an agenda. Are you telling me you didn't pivot to talking about the Young Turks killing the Armenians? I mean, nobody's saying it's all Turkish people who killed all those Armenians. You didn't go there? Oh, no, you went to a white kid. Oh, right.
Yes, that guy's a Nazi. He also happened to be a right-winger. That doesn't make all right-wingers guilty. Now, if you went to that rally and you held torches, you knew where you were going with that. They did, but even in that story, even for those loathsome guys who chanted Sieg Heil and the Jews will not replace us, etc.
Sieg Heil gets a mention. The Jews will not replace us. Oh, thank you for your throwaway concern for the Jews as you defend Muslims constantly. It's priceless. Yes, Genk, we get it. For the billionth time, it's not all. It wasn't a hard concept to understand the first time. It was never needed for you to say this. You are stalling and filibustering because you're a pointless Turkish Goomba.
I said they didn't all do the violence. Fields, the guy who's arrested for running over those people, did the violence and he's to be held responsible. So there's the people who did the violence, there's the people who hold a radical fundamentalist ideology, and then there's the larger group. It would be insane to say that we should round up all the right-wingers in America and hold them responsible for what happened in Virginia. Insane.
He's still talking about right-wingers. He's left Muslims entirely. Incredible.
So when some folks want to simplify things because their mind can't comprehend things that aren't incredibly simple, they go, okay, me blame all 1.6 billion Muslims.
You know what's incredibly simple and woefully demented of you? Is to present this ridiculous straw man time after time and then shoot it down like you're shooting fish in a barrel, wasting everybody's time. You're a fucking waste. You aren't to be taken seriously as an adult. You're a tan punchline with jowls.
Okay, if you're in that camp, have at it, Hoss. Scream till you're hoarse, and I know what your answer is going to be. It's going to be more violence. Shocking, I know. We need to do this to them, and we need to ban them, and we need to isolate them, and maybe put things on them, etc.
More violence? Yes! It's called a counterpunch. It's called fight. Did you not play Mortal Kombat? Yes, it's pretty clear. If Sub-Zero is throwing fucking shards of ice at you, it's time to fight. Sub-Zero wins. What kind of a goddamn weakling are you? A terrorist organization is attacking us, killing our innocent people all around the world consistently. What should we do? Fight them with words of love and tolerance. Genk, you goddamn bitch. You must fight. And if you're not going to fight, like obviously you're not going to fight. I mean, shit. You probably haven't seen your own dick in 2 decades. At least shut your fucking yapper and let real men fight. Do not spread your cancerous message of let's be pussies and roll over and wait for the next one. And when the next one comes, let's talk about right-wingers and Dylan Roof and Nazis.
But if you're a thinking person, and it's obvious that what we need to do is target the people who are actually committing the violence.
Which is what everybody believes. I mean, why don't you just have a debate? Just bring somebody onto your show and be like, let me ask you, here's my straw man, here's what I think you think. I think you think we should go and bomb people who aren't responsible for this violence. Is that what you think? Because I can shoot that down. No, I think we should get the people who are doing the violence. But are you saying all Muslims? Nope, not. Well, let me filibuster some more. Let me talk about Charlottesville.
Now, if you say, hey, let's go a little broader to the people who hold ideology, whether they're Nazis or Muslim radicals. Okay, that's an interesting conversation.
You're a fucking loser, Cenk. It's just the secret that is not a secret to anybody. Cenk, you're a fucking loser. Christ, you are stupid. It's like the man is incapable of being honest. He has to create this dichotomy that if you're talking about Muslims, well, I've got to bring the Nazis into it. Well, Genk, let's say this 20-year-old is just a Sieg-heiling young Adolf. He's Adolf Hitler. He killed a guy. Does the number he killed matter? Why in the fuck are you bringing him up when that is not what we're talking about here? How many people do you think Muslims have killed, Genk, since 1945? Which is when the actual Nazis stopped killing anybody. You want to do a tally on that? You want to put that in a pie chart before you eat it, you fat disgrace? And then let's look at the comparison and ask ourselves, why are you bringing these two things up and think that it's worthy to speak of them in the same breath? You fucking moron.
Now, if you say the ideology is right-wing, I disagree with you. Okay, it's not all right-wingers who did that violence in Charlottesville. If you say it's radical right-wingers like the Nazis, the white nationalists, I agree with you. If you say it's all Muslims, I disagree with you. If you say it's radical Muslims, fundamentalist Muslims, I agree with you.
Hey guys, it's not Muslim, it's not jihad, it's not, what? It's fundamentalist ideology. So, we could broaden it out. I've seen some butterfly collectors who, most of them are good. Moderate butterfly collector, no problems. The extremists, the fundamentalist butterfly collector, look, they stab animals daily. They put a pin through them. Okay, if you don't think that's violence, then look, I'm against all violence. I'm against Muslim violence. I'm against Nazi violence. Charlottesville, anyone? Remember that? I'm also against putting pins in butterflies. That's violence too. So violence, it's just really fundamentalist, extremist violence. That's where we need to be focused.
Imagine if we said, okay, a lot of these Nazis that showed up in Virginia were from Ohio. Let's go bomb Ohio. Who would be stupid enough to say something like that? That's insanity, right?
Jesus fucking Christ, Genk. Nobody is suggesting that because the guy was from Morocco that we bomb Morocco. Nobody. So once again, it's a total waste of time, what he's doing right now. It's an exercise in absurdity. Impressive to nobody. Totally useless. We're not going to bomb Ohio. Again, an absurd waste of our time for you to have said that. We're not bombing Morocco. The man is a member of ISIS. ISIS is located in places in this world. Why don't we bomb those? Oh, and by the way, Islam is not off the hook. ISIS is not the beginning, middle, and end of Islamic terror. So the problem is bigger than ISIS, but ISIS is one head of this hydra.
So now, finally, to my idea on how to defeat that ideology. You have to make our side more attractive and their side less attractive. So I know that's a simple start. The difficulty is in the execution.
Well, you're incredibly unattractive. So is that good for us or bad for I'm not sure what it is. Maybe we should just post up pictures of Genk on our border and it'll act as a scarecrow.
If we could find a way to defeat the core of their ideologies, and I think that it is, we're on the winning side. It shouldn't be that difficult to prove to people that Nazis who think white people are superior and the Jews and the blacks and the Muslims and everyone else is inferior. That's not an idea that's going to win in the long run.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm mistaken. What the fuck are you talking about the Nazis for? The Nazis don't exist anymore. You're trying to talk about the terror event in Barcelona, a terror event that your graphic is calling tragedy in Barcelona. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. That's one way. It's like saying that there was a rapid change in temperature in Hiroshima that day. Yeah, it was an act of malicious evil by a Muslim again. It wasn't a tragedy. Accidents are tragedies. This was not an accident. So as the man pathetically tries to shift our focus to Nazi talk, his idea of fighting a war with bullets and knives and bombs and dead bodies, is to get back at them with words. Why don't we just airdrop some SpaghettiOs upon the Middle East and hope for the best? Maybe those SpaghettiOs will fall in such a way that it convinces them to shit on their entire history, turn their back on their friends and family and country, radically alter their worldview, and leave their religion, even though it will lead to their inevitable death. Sorry, not death, murder. They will be murdered for having done so. But yeah, Genk, just win them with words. In the meantime, prepare to die. If you live in the West, Genk is not prepared to fight. He doesn't want to fight. He can't fight. So you're going to die. Genk's going to continue to talk.
Right. You isolate them.
You isolate them? That's very interesting that you mentioned that. Kind of a mistake. You isolate who? The people with the terrible ideas who want to do violence to us? Well, do you know what community they come from? The Muslim community. That's the ones that we're talking about. That community produces this brand of violent individual at an insanely disproportionate rate. So how would we isolate a community of dangerous people that have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are willing and able to commit acts of insanity and violence upon us? Well, we could not live with them, frown upon their inclusion into our societies. Yeah, sounds like a great idea to me. Let's isolate Genk.
And by the way, in that case, what do? You show them, hey, I know you're angry, okay, but you think the Jews control the world, or the Mexican immigrant who just crossed the border somehow has all the power? That's insane.
It's insane that you continually talk about things that are not the topic. That's insane. It's beneath all of us.
So, look, part of it is the religions aren't true. They aren't true.
Who fucking cares if they're not true? Who cares if they're wrong? Why did you bring up Jews and Christians? Absolutely irrelevant. They think it's true. I mean, have you ever heard perception is reality? That's what matters. They perceive it to be true. They act upon it, kill people. Therefore, the fact that it's not true is of no consequence. None. These people are insane. They are backward. They are violent. They must be dealt with. Live in reality.
Now, that doesn't mean that a great nun who cares to do the right thing and feed the poor and the hungry is a bad person. Doesn't mean Martin Luther King was a bad person. It doesn't mean a good Muslim who wants to help the poor and the needy just as much, and it's a huge part of the Quran, is a bad person. It doesn't mean random aunts, uncles, and grandparents are bad people, whether they're Christian, Jews, or Muslims. But the religions are wrong. They're wrong, they're inaccurate. They're not true. Jesus didn't walk on water. Muhammad didn't talk to God on a mountain. I mean, you're telling me Muhammad talked to God on a mountain and God happened to say, hey, Muhammad, why don't you just take all the advantages for yourself? Take all the women, take all the land, take all the power. Boy, that's awfully convenient. Mormonism isn't correct.
Why the fuck are you talking? Why are you talking about Mormonism? Why are you talking about the virgin birth? When was the last time the Mormons killed anybody? When was the last time somebody said, I am gonna kill you in the name of the virgin birth? What in the fuck?
He didn't have magic goggles and read magic tablets. There was no virginal birth. Moses was never in Egypt. He never split the Red Sea. It never rained frogs. So you have to say that. Now, that doesn't mean that, I'm going to repeat it for the 18th time, that innocent Christians who earnestly believe those things are bad people, or that they're in any way connected to radical Christians, or that innocent Muslims are connected to radical Muslims. But if you start to believe in fairy tales, then someone can tell you a different kind of fairy tale, and you're a little bit more likely to believe it. So yes, we do have to go and tell people the religions aren't true.
Yes, Genk, and not all fairy tales are the same. Little Bo Peep is not the same as Stephen King. We get it. Well, guess what? Some fairy tales are more dangerous than others. The fairy tale of Islam is not the same as Christianity. So a virgin carpenter who was about loving thy neighbor and turning the other cheek is not the same as a beheading warlord pedophile. Those differences are enormous. Why are we talking about Christianity to start with?